And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather Show. If you want to see the sun up close and all of the features associated with it, you've come to the right place, and welcome to the Smash News Network least busted name in news. Welcome to space. If you're spooked of space, press the like button, folks. Oh my God, space, it's so spooky. I'm spooked of space. Are you spooked of space? Definitely let us know in the comments. This is the past 24 hours of the closest star from the perspective of the Solar Dynamics Observatory. We're looking at ionized iron and helium there, 171 plus 304 angstroms. And let's take a look at some action happening in the southwest. Looks like a CME popping off down there, and there it goes. What's that? You want a closer view of that? Okay, I guess we can accommodate you. There you go. There's a closer view. You're welcome. Here's a view of the equatorial region. And the most active region is exactly where we said it would be yesterday, the southwestern limb. That is the brightest portion of the closest star in X-ray, at least from the perspective of planet Earth. And that is because of the setting of these active groups down here in the southwestern limb. We still do have a significant possibility of an M-class or even an X-class flare. X-class flare is kind of unlikely at the moment, but it is still possible. Here's a look at the northern hemisphere, the North Polar region included. That sunspot that just rose in the northeast in your upper left is not looking particularly exciting. No major flares produced by it yet. However, there is a huge filament right in front of it, which we've been following for days on the channel. Spectacular view there of that massive plasma filament there, just to the south of the Earth scale. And let's talk about paid endorsements. So one of them is smashomash.com. So if you haven't checked out our homepage, check it out. There you go, smashomash.com, and welcome to the Neo Renaissance. We launched a massive web ring to benefit people like you. Did you know that we're free speech purists on the channel? Yeah, we encourage all legal speech. Don't make a fool of yourself in the comments, though, however, because you may find yourself berated. We don't mute people, we don't ban people, we don't do anything like that. Here comes some more paid endorsements. Our paid affiliate from Amazon, amazon.com/shop/smashomash. And we're running out of cocoa powder, folks, so we're going to re-up with Anthony's Organic 5-pound bag for only $30.99. Get your spices in bulk through our Amazon shop and save a boatload. And make sure that you have all the appropriate spices on your awesome food that you're cooking. If you want to share recipes, do it on smashomash.com/forum, or perhaps on Instagram, or perhaps on Twitter, x.com/smashomash. But certainly pick up your spices in bulk. Don't buy those little tiny jars from the grocery store, folks. That's insane. Head to amazon.com/shop/smashomash. You can also find our featured product of the day. Did you know that Google does not want you to use Google as a verb? Yeah, it's true, folks. Google prefers to not be a verb. However, if you're going to use it as a verb, it's going to make my ears bleed. And if you do, make sure you use it correctly. Because the word Google used as a verb means to obtain biased search results using the Google search engine. So if you want to get some biased search results, make sure you Google it. And if you're going to use that as a verb, make sure you use it correctly. Don't forget to Google it, folks, to obtain biased search results about a person, place, or thing, or perhaps an idea on the internet. Just Google it. What could possibly go wrong besides biased search results? You can find a link to the Redbubble shop on the homepage, as well as below this very video in the description. You can also find a link to our Hemp Lucid shop. Don't forget to enter the promo code SMASHOMASH10 and save 10%. SMASHOMASH10 at hemplucid.com. Save some dough on CBDs, on mushroom gummies, on stress, sleep, and immune stacks. CBD body balms and lip balms, even CBD for your pets. hemplucid.com Enter the promo code SMASHOMASH10 and save as many percent. Save 10 points with the promo code SMASHOMASH10 at hemplucid.com. You want to pay full price? What are you, a psycho? Help out the channel and help out your savings. Help out your checking account balance by doing that. If you want to support the channel via subscription services, become a member of the Smash Team at smashomash.com/Smash Team. We include additional content for especially gold level Smash Team members. There's also more for silver members, also more for bronze level members. The best value is the gold annual paid up subscription, smashomash.com/Smash Team. Help support the channel via opening your cobweb-encrusted wallet and sending us a few bucks per month to create the content. So, headed right back to space, a frontier. Here's what's going on. Yesterday plus today at the closest star, that is November 13th and 14th to date. And we've seen a reduction in sunspots. So, a downtick in solar activity. Oh my God, the sun is shutting down. Just kidding, pardon the sarcasm. The sun's not shutting down, folks. It's not a grand solar minimum. Stop getting mad about sunspots. Here's the colorized magnetogram for the same period, November 13th and 14th to date. And since volcanodiscovery.com is not showing a full list of volcanoes, let's just talk about Iceland. Iceland, it's fixing to erupt, folks. Major eruption coming to Iceland. They don't just, evacuate portions of Iceland unless there's serious stuff. There are roads caving in. There's gas coming out of the earth. Major eruption is likely at Iceland. And let's just move on to talk about earthquakes. Yeah, earthquakes are next. There are the past 90 days. Shout out to volcanodiscovery.com. Let us know when you're back from your volcano pole vaulting vacation. We'll be back to share the information that you're posting on your web station. Here's the USGS website. We're going to go over the quakes of a 5 or greater magnitude for the past 24 hours, starting with this 5.4 at Papua New Guinea. It was at 5:53 this morning. Quite a lot of activity there north of Australia. The world's biggest quakes, besides one in the Indian Ocean, have occurred in that region. That 5.4 was at 5:53 this morning at the Bande Sea, also a 5.2 at 6:22 this morning. Kermadec Islands there, north of New Zealand, had a 5.4. That was at 7:46 Universal Time this morning. And then a 5.9 at Papua New Guinea. That's at 12:52. Then a 5.1 at Papua New Guinea. Another 5.1 at 13:29 Universal Time. Another 5.1 at Papua New Guinea, so quite a bit of activity there north of Australia. That is the earthquake rundown. Those are quakes larger than a 5 magnitude. Next, looking at some more space-type stuff. Yes, space stuff. What's going on in space, you ask? Well, the 10.7 centimeter radio flux has dipped. Now all the way down to 124 solar flux units. Again, radio flux all the way down to 124, folks. So there's the one-year graph of that. To put it in context, it's the black line. The blue line is the planetary, the Potsdam AP. That's basically just a representation of the KP index. The red line is the sunspot number. The black line is the radio flux. Continuing on to the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard, and what do you got? Some geomagnetic unrest forecasted for late tomorrow night. That is a coronal mass ejection impact, I believe. You can see there it is, 3.67. That's just this side of geomagnetic storm conditions. So at least one of the CMEs must have been modeled by NOAA. So that's NOAA's forecast, again, based on the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. Next, the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. Here's our Geospace Magnetosphere movie. Geomagnetically calm conditions are what we're seeing currently. Next Earth's magnetic moment from the ground, same period of time, the last 4 hours. Again, things are in a geomagnetically settled state. No major space weather striking the Earth's magnetosphere at the moment. KP index currently at 2.33. KP 2.33 is the current planetary K index. And next, moving to the real-time solar wind. Here's the ACE. So the ACE finally just sending some data here, showing a slow and diffuse solar wind there. So 360 kilometers a second for the solar wind speed, 2.26 protons per cubic centimeter for the solar wind density. Discover here showing quite similar conditions. So the Discover there showing 374 kilometers a second and a 2 proton per cubic centimeter solar wind density. So no surprise we have geomagnetic calm with those conditions. And next, the GOES magnetometer. Quite smooth there, the GOES 16 and GOES 18 there, no major variations in the GOES magnetometers. And now we're on to the top view ecliptic plane field plot. And guess what? Earth is still not into that South Pole current sheet. So it's really taken its time showing up there. Magnetic indecision continues to occur on the eastern limb. So if you look at the latest image, let's let that play through. I'll click last. There you go. Now if we bring this back, you can see that sector boundary crossing just hanging out there in front of stereo B. So that's the current situation. South Pole current sheet is imminent. You can see it there right on the plot there. South Pole current sheet over there, North Pole current sheet. Earth is just about to leave it. Although it's been going on since yesterday's video, so an extended period there. North Pole current sheet, extended time. Next, our line of sight field plot. And what can I say? There's the solar B field in blue, polar fields in red and green for south and north respectively, the photosphere magnetic fields in gray. Here's our line of sight ecliptic plane field plot. And again, you'll see indecision happening over there to the east on the left side of the imagery. That is the sun trying to make up its mind whether Earth is to be in a north or south pole oriented sector. What can I say? I don't know. I have no opinion on it. I just cite facts. So here's our line of sight coronal hole plot. And we've got North Pole coronal holes in the south and South Pole coronal holes in the north. Something that you could expect to see sometime after solar maximum. There's the last image. And here are the past 2 days from SDO 211 angstroms. So these are actually north and these are south. So there's a sector boundary crossing looking like something like this. And the South Pole oriented sector could be here at any moment, folks. Remember, the magnetic environment can change suddenly with basically no warning. Again, that's the past 48 hours from SDO 211 angstroms. And let's move on to sunspots. I think it's about time for sunspots. What do you say? Let us know in the comments what you think. As if this isn't a space weather dictatorship. And by the way, whether or not you like a space weather dictatorship is irrelevant to us. What's relevant is that you press like. Because if you don't press like, there will be repercussions, possibly for your soul. But probably not. So just press like anyway. Press the share button. Leave us a comment. Tell your friends and foes about the channel. And if you're mad about this shameless promotion for our own channel, then leave us a comment and tell us how enraged you indeed are. We are very concerned with your levels of rage, so tell us all about it in the comments. Press like. Otherwise, your soul will be cast into an ever-deepening and darkening abyss. perhaps into the Boötes void. Is that what you want? No? Then press the like button. And let's move on to sunspots. So, sunspot number has now dropped down to about 70, maybe even only 69. There are sunspots for the past month as reported by Royal Observatory of Belgium, or ROB. Here's our solar flare scoreboard and flare probability monitors. Again, we still do have some chance of a decent-sized solar flare, especially at the western limb. Likelihood is kind of dropping, actually. But there still is some chance for significant solar flares, especially down there in the southwest. And let's move on to sunspots here as viewed from SDO. There's the view from SDO. That's 131 plus SDO continuum. Here's just continuum. And let's get into energetic particles and solar flares. So no spikes in the proton flux. Proton flux remains at baseline levels. X-ray flux, we have had some flaring here, but no major flares. Only some events around a C6. So that's the largest flare of the past 24 hours. Let me zoom in on that. It was about a C5.9, roughly. There's a 3-day graph that we show all the time on the channel. And here is where those flares came from. The western limb. Namely, the area around the equator there, just north of the equator. Well, actually, both of those areas. Both north and south of the equator there, seeing some flaring activity. Again, nothing above a C-class event has occurred for the past 24. Next, let's see what's going on overhead. I'm always interested in that. And what's happened? What has happened? Oh my dear God. Dear God. There's a star chart. That's what's supposed to be shown. And this is where things are overhead now. We've got Jupiter and Saturn up there from skyandtelescope.org's star chart. Just put in your location if you want your own star chart. And here comes a solar system forecast. We'll show you where things are today. Ta-da! Happy new moon. Here's where things will be in 1 week. We will finally have a gibbous waxing moon by the 21st of November. And here's the astronomy photo of the day. 3 of the 4 brightest objects visible from Earth, right there. The moon, Venus, and Jupiter. Sometimes Mars is actually brighter than Jupiter, but sometimes Jupiter is the 4th brightest object. The moon and Venus are always the 2nd and 3rd brightest objects visible from Earth. That's the astronomy photo of the day. That's a rock outcrop south of Sicily, by the way. apod.nasa.gov if you want to check it out yourself. apod.nasa.gov. 3 planets rock. Next, moving on to CMEs. You want to know what's going on with CMEs, right? Well, here's Soho Lasco C2 and C3. And we have had some. Let's figure out if those are earthly directed, shall we? That's not really a request either. I'm just being polite. Let's get this C3 into today. So there's one CME this morning around 7 o'clock. It looks like it's coming out of the west. Another smaller one there later in the day around noontime in the southwest, and then another one later in the afternoon in the northwest. So no surprise there. Most of the activity associated with the active regions that we see. Let's take a look at Stereo A's coronagraphs as well. Stereo A located out here, just getting some angular distance on Earth as it speeds away, orbitally speaking. Here we've got stereo A difference imagery on the right and stereo A raw coronagraph on the left. So again, we are interested if those are earthly directed. I suspect not so far, but let's take a closer look here by looking at our custom coronagraphs. There is a 24-hour video. And let's see what kind of plasma motions we have on the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk, shall we? We'll zoom in one step closer here. So there's a little closer view. Again, 3 events at least, maybe 4 today. Do they have earthly components? Well, we'll have to check. Let's get a little bit closer here. We'll step in one more step closer here, and we'll include the 304 angstroms wavelength and drop the LASCO C3. I don't think those are earthly directed events. If you disagree, let us know in the comments. If you agree, let us know in the comments. If you want to just appease the algorithm and type something in the comments just for no other reason, feel free to do that as well. Here is the SDO 304 plus 193 angstroms, all by itself with no coronagraphs. So one of those CMEs was definitely from here. That's not earthly directed. The other 2, we can't even really see their origin, indicating that they're likely behind the limb. So that's what's going on. Let's move to filaments, since we're now looking at filaments. And by the way, if you want to name filaments after living people, go do it over on X. X.com/smashomash. It's where we name filaments after living people. What can I say? I mean, it's like naming winter storms, naming solar filaments. We just name them after living people, that's all. It's thanks to our new follower over on Twitter, as the pathetic censorship continues on all social media, and cultists claim that Elon has fixed free speech. It would be cute if it wasn't so pathetic and nauseating. Continuing on, there are filaments from Big Bear. And this filament here is one of the biggest we've ever covered on the channel. That is a giant filament indeed. That one is certainly worthy of a name. We'll have to name it. We'll find a tech oligarch. Maybe Tim Cook. What about Tim Cook? CEO of Apple. Maybe that'll be a great person to name it after. What do you think? Anyway, there's more hydrogen alpha imagery, and it's time to do bonus features. But first, the past couple of hours from the GO 16 SUVI. And there you can see some more filamentary activity in the southwestern limb. Crown prominence in the north, active regions setting in the west. And here come bonus features, starting out with satellite charging hazards. Do we have any? Well, some minor surface charging hazards here over the Middle East and the northwestern Indian Ocean. Goes electron flux, kind of low. That's the past 3 days. There's the past year of relativistic electrons. Here's NOAA's forecast, expecting a downtick and then a rapid uptick. I have no arguments. Here's the layer where it's measured, the F layer of the ionosphere. So let's show that next. Here it is in its vibrational frequency. Whoops, there we go. That's better. And nothing too special going on in the ionosphere. Again, it is geomagnetically calm conditions. We'll let that play through one full run. You never know when that data might come in handy. Here's the anomalygram for the same time period, the previous day. It depicts anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. And again, things are looking pretty geomagnetically chill at the moment. There's the latest 2300 universal time ionogram and 2300 universal time anomalygram. Next, wham! The whole atmosphere model. You've got the total electron content anomaly and total electron content on the left. Maximum usable frequency and anomaly on the right. That is the scenario, a quick snapshot. The whole atmosphere model. We'll also show total electron content. Feel free to pause the video on this frame if you're not familiar with distances in miles. Here's total electron content on a global scale. Not a fan of this data set as it looks erroneous for the last couple of weeks. However, the anomaly from the 10-day average over North America looks legit. We'll let that play through in its entirety. Then we'll show the latest images of the closest star. Then we'll move on to meteorology. Yeah, we throw in value-added services, folks, because we realize it's too easy to do just regular weather, so we do space weather and the regular weather. So that's what's going on from the sun. Degradation of activity for the past 24 hours. And let's move on to meteorology. The first thing we're doing is going wave chasing. So there you go. There are the world's largest waves. Right out at the end of the Aleutians, we've got some 30-plus foot waves, and that's the only place in the world that has waves of that size. Nothing going on in the Southern Ocean. Nothing in the Atlantic. Nothing in the Indian Ocean. It's the North Pacific, where all of the world's biggest waves currently reside. So some 30-plus footers up there off the right out in the Aleutian Islands, I'll say. I'll say that's in the Aleutian Islands, which basically represent the border between the Pacific Ocean and the Bering Sea. So these are not too shabby over here. These are the biggest at over 30 foot. Next, we'll cover surface winds and jet streams for the whole planet. There's the east side surface winds. Here are the east side's jet streams. Central world's jet streams. Europe, Africa, and the Middle East surface winds. Surface winds of the west. Jet streams of the west. Convergence continuing over the North Atlantic. Divergence happening over the eastern U.S. And let's move on to look at some satellite imagery. It's clouds and fog. I think I might have forgotten to speed that up. There we go. That looks a little more normal. There is clouds and fog over the Americas. The shortwave radiation map. And we've zoomed in on the Gulf. There's a little closer view. As there is some precipitation coming up from all that warm, moist air over the Gulf of Mexico. Next, pressure map. And we've got a powerful low here over central Canada and a powerful high in the North Pacific. Clockwise rotation over here. counterclockwise rotation over here as that low sucks and that high blows. Yeah, highs blow and lows suck. That's the way the wind works. And that's the full global map from windy.com. And let's get to our weather.gov map. If your location is lit, click it. There is the key showing what the colors mean. Some significant forecasts there for Hawaii and Alaska. Weather.gov is where to get your warnings. And next we'll show some forecasts. So here's the GFS forecast. That is pressure and precipitation based on the GFS model for the next 72 hours. Strong storms to form in between Florida and Cuba there. It's going to be a really bad day for illegally immigrating to the U.S. using rafts from Cuba to Florida. So watch out if you're planning on a raft ride. There's the imagery. Next, total accumulated precipitation. And the Panhandle is going to get some heavy rains. Some areas in the Gulf there, which is expecting 15 inches plus of rain. So some very significant storms. If they shift a little bit, it could be quite bad for some portions of Florida. Here's our accumulated snow depth change. And Montana now has areas expecting over 6 inches. Also, Colorado is going to get some snow despite all the hot air constantly spewing out of that state. Colorado, America's hot air capital. Last but not least, we have temperature anomaly as a heat wave will form over Nebraska and South Dakota and then make its way to the east and then to the southeast. So warm temperatures coming to the Great Lakes and then eventually to the mid-Atlantic states and New England. So another little warm spell coming through before cold air pushes it to the east. Next, lightning. We've got some lightning in the Caribbean and in the Gulf. Also northern South America. Springtime. It's pretty active down there over the South American continent. And next, a real-time lightning map from lightningmaps.org. So there you go. We've got a lot more strikes than we did yesterday. About 200 strikes per minute on a global scale. Some activity here south of Jamaica. Pretty minor thunderstorm activity, actually. More like thunder showers. And we'll close the video out with U.S. Doppler radar, clouds and fog, and water vapor. So there's vertical motion in the air column. It's Doppler radar. Here's the lower 48 view as some heavy precipitation is showing up in the Gulf states. Here is clouds and fog. And there is the water vapor map. Recap is next. And final. Doppler, clouds and fog, water vapor, and me signing off. Thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, least busted name of news. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash and Mash, signing off. And in the meantime, may that solar wind be at your back. But don't go back to my bunker again. If you're not a good enough pal, I might have to eat you, my friend.